Welcome back to Just Weirdly Blended.
I'm Tom.
And I'm Jesse. Almost had to think. Who am I?
I'm David.
That's been me, my thought process all week. Who am I? No, I'm just kidding.
I hate that question, actually. Like when people ask, who are you? It's like, I don't freaking know. Like beyond
just a man that loves a woman.
Yeah.
And has some kids.
Couple trophies hanging on the wall.
Yeah, something stupid. Some right. Dumb response.
No, but I mean, like, really, when you think about like that, like, who are you on a deep level? I don't know. How do you even answer that question?
To know who we are, we must know what we are.
Yes, you must lose yourself in order to find it.
I get all poetic and philosophical.
I've watched Alone quite a bit. Isn't that where you find yourself?
Yeah, to know oneself, you need to be alone.
Jesus discovered himself after 40 days in the desert.
Right.
I believe.
That was Jesus had it rough though.
Like 40 days and 40 nights alone in the desert?
Yeah. No, I mean that would suck, but no, I'm just like in general. You just hey, son, you need to go down there and die for some peeps.
Right. You'll give yourself.
Hey son, I need you to go pretty much kill yourself. So
yeah. They're going to persecute you, but it's for a good reason. Like, well, hold on.
I beg to diff.
So, Dad, you're telling me that the only option I have...
did we discuss this or did I hear this on a podcast? God, I don't think we discussed it. They were saying that they think, like, Jesus, like, he had sex and stuff.
Oh, I don't know. We've never discussed that.
Yeah.
Well, I know that
they're like, nah, he did, like
him and Mary Magdalene and stuff. There have been a lot of arguments that it was very normal for for Jewish, I want to say priests, but I don't think it's priests. I can't think of the term, but Jesus was essentially like a preacher, and it was very odd for men of the cloth not to be in relationships with women. So some have argued it would have been documented if he had been virginous. Would that be a word?
Yeah, but it never really said,
They don't really go into detail. The whole purity thing comes into play, but I always wonder how much.
What if he was married?
Well, because he did. I mean, he talked a lot about Mary Magdalene, right? And there's like the whole thing about him loving Mary Magdalene, which
she was a woman of the night.
She was a Roxanne. But whether he did or didn't, I guess whatever. But it's used to justify, the modern philosophy of the Catholic Church where priests are married to God and don't have relationships. And I ask the question of how healthy is that?
I don't think
children or other men become I don't scenario.
I don't feel like that'd be healthy.
It is weird to me how sex has become such a religious thing. Like if you really look historically, sex wasn't really that much of a biblical issue.
It wasn't
until like some
people
of it, even the 1800s. I was listening to a story they did about like the history of abortion. I don't mean to get into that whole thing because whatever you feel, I get it. There's strong opinions on both sides. I don't really care to get into that, but
if you believe, no, I'm just playing.
But if you believe God, no. But it just like a historic fact is it was not a religious issue up until just a few hundred years ago.
Religion, man.
Like the midwives or whatever you call them would frequently assist in
doing something like that,
abortions, and it's just a fact. And then at some point, it became more religiously involved. I want to say it was as late as the 1800s, like 1860s-ish, like the Victorian era. So it does kind of, it does beg the question, is this actually biblical or is it just sort of culture hijacking religion?
I feel like,
I don't know. I think
I would go as far as saying that like culture hiking,
right?
Like religion or just religion being the way they can be.
Well, I think sometimes
it's men, like making these rules up all of a sudden, like they're like the Bible. I would love to know how much was actually taken out of that thing.
Well,
that don't meet what I believe. So
we do know factually that things have been removed throughout history that didn't jive with the overall message that was, crafted.
100%.
Which is kind of,
no, for sure though.
And I don't know. I mean, again, I don't mean to criticize people that are religious because I get it. Like every right to be people that aren't religious have every right to not be religious. I think we're losing that a little bit in our culture is this idea that other people can exist who are not like you and that's okay.
No, they can't.
Well, that's kind of where we're getting. No. Right. there's a lot
My way or no
happening
way.
right now that I hope is going to break that. Joe Manchin, actually, you know who he is? He is like the West Virginia. I think he's a senator from West Virginia. He's a Democrat, but he's very conservative for a Democrat.
Oh,
So he's always the guy that's kind of the holdout, and they really have to negotiate within their own party with him to get something passed. And he was asked, "Do you hope Democrats maintain control in the Senate?" And he said, "I'm not going to answer that. I'm really sick and tired of politicians using their office for this crap, not working together, and it being about politics. Like, this is about the American people, their vote." And I think we got to have.
What if he's going to run for president? He sounds like
probably not. I mean, I think he's one of those guys that just like he's got a lot of power because his own party has to come to him and work with him to get legislation passed, and that keeps that legislation from getting too extreme.
Yeah,
it keeps it sort of centralized. He's a Democrat, but he doesn't see things too far in either direction.
That's good.
And
I think that's how it should be.
Well, because politics has just turned into. I was talking to some family members earlier.
My side's better.
It's not even just that. It's like I can't just win now. I have to absolutely obliterate the other side.
Yeah.
And we fight so much, and our identity is so wrapped up in some bogus thing. Like, do you really look at every view of your party just straight down the line, completely the way they see it?
No.
If you do, you're not thinking anymore. I think we've talked about that before. Yeah. But so much of that, I mean, we're getting crazy. It needs to just chill out. And with,
hopefully,
with religion, it's kind of the same thing. Like, I do worry the way things are going right now. We're starting to lose the idea of you have freedom of religion. You get to be whatever religion you want to be. But there's also the right to not be religious, and there's also the right.
And I think it's easy.
What is
nowadays.
Freedom? Like freedom really is your individual freedom. Somebody else doesn't have to like the way you live.
Yeah. And I think that's where it gets lost. Yeah. I think religion by far is, I don't think it's like it used to be, all hardcore. I mean, it's still hardcore, obviously, but like,
well, I think it depends on where you live.
I think you not being religious and stuff, I think it's taken a lot better than it used to be.
It is, but not in politics. I've noticed, like when
politics
things become
are still religious, and
it's like very extreme religion that dictates politics, and it's because you get like
Billy Graham's ruling everybody.
Well, it's kind of true.
In the name of Jesus, you will run for office.
These ideas, like I don't know. I think one thing I like about the Republican Party is they are so focused on freedom, but where they lose that is when it comes to these core value issues.
Yeah.
Where the Republican Party loses me is, we believe in rights, liberty, don't tread on me, all these concepts until we want to keep the church vote. And then it's like, you can't be gay, you can't do this, you can't do that. What's freedom? I mean, what is freedom? So I don't know. Anyway.
Enough politics.
Enough of that crap.
But no, it makes sense though.
But yeah. Anyway, just back to the Bible. How much of that's legit? I don't know. And I'm not a scholar, so what do I have to say? I do feel like
stuff does get lost, and people do focus on religion a lot hard. Mm-hmm. Like you said in politics and stuff.
Right.
I don't know.
But
think for yourself, God damn it. You know what I mean?
God damn it. That was a good use of God damn it. No, it's true. Like, never stop thinking for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's going to kind of segue into something that I told you I was going to talk about, which back to like mental health, which is a big part of what we talk about. According to a lot of religious people, suicide is a sin.
Yeah.
You go to hell for suicide. I find that very difficult to believe. I just do. Yeah. I don't see that as Satan possessing your mind. I don't see that as something evil. I see that as something very, very sad and very unnecessary for a healthy person. So if somebody's willing to go to that extreme to take themselves completely out of the world, they're dealing with something far beyond
what we can
believe in God or exactly. I mean, the level of pain is enough that they're dedicated enough to take themselves out. And I don't see how it benefits anybody to call that sinful or to imply
I don't know.
that.
I know it's been even like other religions. I think it's been frowned on.
It has. And I get frowning upon it. It's not a good thing.
Oh, no, but
turning it against that person who is in that level of pain, and instead of showing love and compassion,
you're like, oh, you're going to hell.
Right. Like, you're going to burn in hell. Really? Like, God's that kind of God where,
I wouldn't want a God like that.
Well, it's like what is this? Thor, Love, and Thunder over here? Like,
I know.
My daughter died.
Because you can live this like perfect life, you know. Well, not perfect. You know, you can live a relatively like religious or spiritual life, and then you know, obviously, say you're struggling with mental health and you do that, then I think it'd be messed up for God to be like, well, I mean, you did good, but like that's a big one.
Well, sorry, like you committed this sin, so you're going to hell. Like, do I think it's a good thing? No, of course not. Anybody taking their own life is a horrible thing.
For sure.
But I believe in if I do believe in a God, I believe in a God who is understanding. Yeah. And is looking for every loophole to get you into heaven. That's kind of the God that I look at. I don't look at this God that like barely anyone's going to make it. Hell is for everybody, and there's like 5% that are going to make it into heaven. Doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't know. That's just one of those areas where I really differ with a lot of religious principle that's common today. Is just like that's very cold and cruel to me. And
if you think about it, like the way God like is perceived, he's very narcissistic and.
Depending on what kind of church you go to.
No, but you know what I mean? Like,
Like
if you don't do what I ask, like
you're undeserving. And I don't know. It's just kind of like, I don't buy that.
Suicide's crazy. Like, I don't know.
I think it's one of those things, again, it was easier to explain back in the days where you didn't have science and you didn't have, you know, obviously it looks like demon possession when you don't understand it.
And so I think some of the, you know, suicides, obviously people like not only is, they could be dealing with something like a disability or something, you know, more than just mental health reasons. So I don't think, like you said, people didn't understand what that shit was.
They didn't. The chemical imbalance, that was not understood. You know, there's a lot of people today that have mental health issues, you know, where it's schizophrenia or whatever it may be, that may appear to be like a demonic possession. And at the time, that's the only description that you have or explanation you have. So it makes sense historically that people look at that and say, oh, they're possessed by a demon. Look at the way they behave or whatever. Yeah. Well, really, their chemistry is all off and they're behaving the way that their brain is allowing them to behave. You know, they've done studies on people with schizophrenia and found that their brain reacts the way that it would react if it actually saw or heard things. Wow. Their brain, even though there's no sound that we can pick up, their brain is interpreting sound and vision signals when they're in these like psychosis states. That means that they're really hearing it. You know what I mean? Like, even if they're not physically hearing it coming in their ear, within their head, they are hearing it. Their brain's taking it in like a real voice, which, terrifying. That would drive you crazy.
That'd be scary.
Right? I mean, it's like, I don't know. A lot more compassion needs to be had in our culture towards this issue. And luckily, we're kind of getting to the point where everybody talks about mental health now. Everybody agrees it's important.
It's getting there.
We're not getting to the point where we actually do a lot about it. It's a lot of talk and very little action.
It is cool to see it out there as much as it is.
Right. You know, the awareness, we're breaking through, you know, the negative viewpoints of it. We're not putting people...
Even for guys, like there was... it's funny because there was a UFC fighter who he won like some championship. His name's... Pigsby, or I don't know his name.
That's a bigger opening than I realized.
Which one? That
I just spilled liquid all down my face.
Let me see what his name is first. Anyway, I don't want to ruin his name because basically, like, so he had won this. Patty Pimblett. He's like from I think Ireland or Scotland or something. So he has a thick accent. But basically, he like won. The title of whatever weight class he's in, but like afterwards he goes on to talk, and this was just like a week ago or something. But I guess one of his friends had just committed suicide, like a real good friend of his, or something. And so he just said, "Hey guys, like, you know, basically telling people like mental health's, you know, it's a real thing. Like men, you know, there's this stigma among that men can't talk about how they feel or whatever, but that needs to stop. Like, I rather." My mate cry on my like shoulder than me having to go to his funeral next week.
Exactly.
You know, so like,
everybody has emotions and
try to talk to people, and like he was advocating really hard for that. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That is awesome. I mean, and it's so needed. Countless numbers of people hurt themselves for nothing. I mean, for them, it feels because it's the only option they have. And that to me is the part that's heartbreaking, is to get to the point where you can do that and follow through. And
to think like no one cares.
How cold and lonely that last moment is. You know, and it's just, that's the heartbreaking part.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and it's men, it's women, it's kids.
I think that breaks my
people,
heart big time when it's kids. Like, I mean, it's heartbreaking in general, but when like kids, like,
well, the thing with kids is they're still developing. So,
like,
and it's like, it's they have so much life ahead of them.
Yeah.
And they don't, like, an adult can comprehend where they're at in life. They understand on a different level than a kid does. An adult's been through enough that they realize things change, things get better, but I'm just done.
Yeah.
Which is sad in itself. Kids, they don't get that yet.
Yeah.
That's like death isn't real enough to them. I don't know. And I don't mean to take anything away from kids that do that. Obviously, they're hurting a lot.
Yeah.
They just don't have the experience to know that they're going to get through it. And
yeah. I think that's where it's like informative for, to talk.
Right.
Who, kid or old person, whatever. Like,
right. And I think even from the time that
just
we
trying
were
to reach
kids,
out,
it's changed. There's a lot of awareness that,
kids are growing up different.
And it's so scary. I mean, like, we always talk about looking for signs and looking for signals.
They're already
some
here.
level. I mean, it does feel like that's kind of grasping at straws. I think we say those things because we want to feel like we can do something about it. People are really good at hiding it. And there are people that seem fine. Like, one of the symptoms of someone who's suicidal is looking great and looking like everything's fine and dandy.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to know they're not just happy?
Exactly.
You have to really be in deep conversations with people.
I think that's I think that's where you reach out to your loved ones and friends, even if they seem the most happy. Like, just say, "Hey, how you doing? Like, everything all right? How are you?" And it's a weird thing to do that because
you're kind of putting yourself out there.
Yeah, because because what if they are just fine? They're like, I'm fine. Why you
because just
now they're going to look at you.
I hope everything's great, and you always got somebody in your corner. I always
think you just lead with like, hey, I was just thinking about you. Just how things doing. How are you?
Right.
Sometimes you'll be surprised. People who aren't even struggling hard with mental health will just be like, nah, it's been a rough week or whatever.
Right.
So
yeah,
I think it's. Yeah, I think it goes both. I think you got to be proactive as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you notice, like,
you just think, maybe one person saying, I care about.
We've talked about, like, my daughter, Lena, our daughter, she's very quiet. So I always have to ask her just how she's doing.
Very difficult to read.
Yeah. So I always have to just check in on her, just say, how are things going? You okay?
Right.
Are you okay? Like, she's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm all right.
Mm-hmm.
Just know, you can talk to me.
Well, because that's
just come to me. Like, it's okay.
Your child, that would be very hard to come back from. If anything happened that way.
Like, well, you got to think, like, a lot of this happens to parents, and
it does.
To parents, to adults, lose. Everybody. You were someone's parent,
right?
Or whatever,
right?
Or you're someone's kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't think about that. I don't even want to, because that's fucking depressing.
Yeah, I know.
that's
we
depressing.
Don't mean to be too depressing this episode.
But no, it is sad though.
This is an issue.
It's real life shit.
It really, it hit home a lot differently for me this week.
Yeah.
I talked to you a little bit before it. My parents have had a neighbor, and I'm not going to get into too many details just out of respect for the family.
Yeah.
But very, very nice guy. I mean, to this day, sort of.
Yeah.
The type of guy like I would wave to, pulling up to their house or driving away. When my parents were gone, they would snowbird, and he would always ask, "Hey, how are your parents doing?" Yell across the street if I was checking out the house or whatever. And he would get their packages for them when they were gone.
He was a good neighbor.
He would I'm just a great neighbor, a great guy.
Yeah,
and took care of his house, like all the things that you'd want a neighbor to be.
Yeah.
And he came on some rough times recently. A lot of stuff I don't know a lot about, but my dad knew a lot of what was going on. So they're struggling a bit in ways. But Thursday night, I went to my parents' house for dinner. My wife was out of town all week, and Elena was gone. Yeah. So it was just me and Elliot. So we went over, had dinner. We were just finishing dessert, and somebody came to the door kind of in a panic and yelled that he was shot.
Oh.
So we just bolted across the street, realized that it was kind of stupid because it sounded like somebody shot him, but we weren't really thinking about that. We were worried about trying to do CPR or something to keep him alive. So when we got to the house and got the door open, he was sitting in a room right across from the front door, and could tell he was gone. I ran in, grabbed his wrist just to check, and he was cold. So it was done.
Yeah.
Pretty apparent that he did it to himself. Oh. And, here's a 60-year-old guy.
That's crazy.
Who's a very kind person, like deserves happiness and 60 years old, deserves to finish out his life.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's gone. And there's nothing you can do about it.
That's sad.
And I mean, police were flying in, like there were like 20 cop cars by the end of this whole thing. They were driving super fast into the neighborhood. They were yelling at us to get back and all this. And
for sure.
It was just intense, but you see this guy that you knew just gone.
And he seemed happy, having shit together.
Well,
the
neighbor said he was just mowing his lawn earlier today. Like I saw him mowing his lawn. And he'd be the type of guy to just wave at you and say, hey.
You never know what people are thinking.
That's the thing that's so scary about this whole scenario is like, we're not that close to everybody.
No,
like this guy, I wasn't close to.
Yeah.
I knew him and I would wave to him, but like, I would never know that he was feeling that low.
Right. And then you're thinking too, because he's older.
Right. That he's going to be fine. Like, you
but then I think about like the whole Robin Williams. He was young or he was older.
He was older, but I mean, he wasn't old enough to just like, die like that.
Yeah.
And, and he battled a lot. He had addiction in his life at different times. And sometimes the people that seem so manically happy are people that suffer the most.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I mean, you can't save everybody for sure.
All you can do is, like I said, reach out.
It's just you hope that people know, like even if we don't know you, we're speaking to you. You're worth it. You're worth holding on to life. There are ways, and I had a number that I found. Like,
I mean, things are going to be hard. Things are going to always, it's not always going to be easy to get out of the depressed state, or you're feeling low, or it's tough. Like I don't ever want to sugarcoat thinking it's easy, because it's not. Like life's hard. Like you're gonna go through these spurts in life where life's giving you that test, and it feels tough, and then there's, like they say, there's brightness on the other side though. It's gonna be a moment in time, it's gonna be rough, but if there is a God, or if you do believe in God, I don't think he would do something that he didn't know you were capable of finishing. You know what I mean?
Well, and I don't think
just know you can go and talk to people, like we've said it. Like I'd be okay with someone reach out to us.
And there is a line I found. It's simple. It's like 911. It's 988.
Oh, 988.
It looks like you call 988. My cell phone, I just typed in suicide prevention hotline, and it popped up 988. You can message 988.
You can text it.
You can chat. They have a website. If you ever feel yourself, anybody out there, getting to a point where you think that you want to do that to yourself, please at least, even if you end up wanting to follow through afterwards, just give it a call.
Yeah.
You can talk to somebody who doesn't know you. You can work it out. If you decide after that that's still what you want to do, I guess there's nothing else that can be done, but at least give yourself a chance, because you can't come back from that.
No.
They've interviewed people, for example, that have jumped off like the Golden Gate Bridge.
Or
every person that survived that, every single person who survived it said the minute they let go, they were terrified and didn't want to die.
Well, I bet you that's how it is.
Okay. And it's just that's the thing is, like, it doesn't feel real. And I don't know. I haven't been in that space, but it just seems to me that in most cases, like once it's too late is probably when you think, oh my God, what did I just do?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, there are people that care, even if you think that they don't, just on a human level. Yeah. But most people care.
Humans, you see a lot of things online where it seems like this world's just effed up, and that's what people like to watch. Is what I think.
It gets the ratings, it gets the views.
There is that good, people are good. I still like to believe overall people are good.
There are a lot.
We just get a lot of shit we see all the time. You see nothing. You don't even see good news. You always see bad news.
Right. Did you see the video of the stranded great white shark? It was on a beach. It got beached somehow, way up on shore, and it's just this little like short or something on Facebook, and all these people are like throwing water on it. They get a rope around its tail, and tons of people. It's a big shark.
Yeah.
Drag it back down to the ocean. People are cheering. They're running. These are animals that were like sought out, destroyed years ago. You know what I mean? And to this day, some people want to kill these great white sharks, which I think are beautiful creatures. But
it is. But like the fact that they could also know, like maybe this shark might eat me afterwards.
Yeah, that human need to help.
Yeah,
most of us have an innate need to see a problem, to see a weakness, to see, sociopaths and psychopaths, maybe not so much, but overall, the average person, if you can do something to help somebody or something, you want to do it. It's in your blood to want to make that difference. And it feels really good when you can help.
I don't know if I've seen this somewhere, or read it something, but like to get people to help you, if you use like certain words will be like,
I need your help.
I need your help. Yeah. If you use something like that, people are more willing to help and say, hey, would you like to,
if you need somebody to do, like say someone's hurt and you need them to call 911, they always say you point at the person and say, you call 911, because if you just say it to a group, somebody call 911,
no one's going to do it.
Most people are going to freak out and wait for right. You got to tell somebody it's your job and put that responsibility on them, and then they'll do it and take care of it, typically in those stressful scenarios. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, you do hear about the way that terminology can change things. Like, I need your help. Can you help me? And most people feel kind of a responsibility at that point to do something. The sad thing is most people that want to commit suicide, if they feel that they really want to do it, they're not going to come to you and say, I need your help.
Yeah, no, that's where I think like there's that.
You almost have to teach people when they're healthy and fine. When you feel like you want to do this, this is what you need to do. Yeah. Ingrain it in humans' brains where it's like,
and I hope
I want to kill myself. So you know what? I'm going to call 988.
Yeah.
Let me make sure that that's the number 988 before I do anything, or
And then, I mean, like they say, reach out to your friends. Reach
people
out.
Care. You're not going to want your friend to die.
Well, like even your happy friends is what I'm saying. It's like reach out to them because they could be the one that actually struggling.
I see what you're saying. You may not be the one feeling it, but you may have a friend.
I say I'm fine 100%, but and Tom's the same way. Maybe he's happy go lucky, but then one day I just, hey man, how you doing? Everything okay? Everything. And then he just kind of breaks down.
Not really. This is happening. I needed someone to talk to. I don't think I can do this much longer.
Yeah, stuff like that. Like stuff will come out. You might not say I'm gonna, off myself or anything, but you could also just be like, that's what they needed. Right. They needed that person to just kind of reach out because they're the ones that are always kind of having things on their shoulder. They're the ones always like listening,
right,
helping people, and so they don't ever want help.
Right.
They rather help people. My problems I'm just going to leave with me, and then so that as a friend you should reach out to those friends. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like like I said, they could be the ones that are having the worst time.
Right. Exactly. And it's hard to bring things up. It's hard to show vulnerability and weakness and say, yeah, I feel sometimes like I don't want to be here anymore. You're not going to just say that usually because it's a scary thing to say and admit to somebody.
But I mean, if you can just vent and let off that steam that you just holding on to, I mean, sometimes that's all the person needs.
There's a song out right now. I don't listen to a lot of like pop anymore, but it was on the pop station. There's a song. I can't remember who sings it. It's a female artist. And she has a line in this song. Have you ever felt, well, how does it go? Something to the effect of, have you ever felt like overwhelmed, like you don't want to die, but you're just not happy?
Yeah.
And that feeling that sometimes, I mean, even healthy, we feel.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, I don't want to kill myself. I don't want to hurt myself, but I just am not happy. Life is not what I want it to be.
I get that way a lot.
Right. I mean,
I get that. Not a lot, but I get that way.
Anytime you feel vulnerable or anytime you feel like maybe you're not good enough or like, I know back when I felt like I wasn't as good at my job as I wanted to be. I had switched, over to something kind of new and I felt like a beginner again.
Well, no,
and it's like, I hate that because you want to feel like you're proficient and good from the beginning, but
this kind of, not to get away from the suicide, but like this segues into something I was talking about.
I think, we've definitely hit suicide. We've talked about it.
So this actually segues to kind of what I was thinking about last night. And he has no idea what I wrote down, but so I was sitting there and I was like, tell my wife, sometimes, so I was like, do you ever wish you were like the person you were when you were younger? And I don't mean like in the sense of like you're an idiot and stuff.
Yeah.
Mine was more like
the good qualities of youth.
Yeah. So when I was younger, no matter what job I did, like my goal in those jobs were to be better than everybody.
Sure.
That's what I want to be. I was really competitive.
You're personally motivated. Yeah. Competitive. Yeah.
I was competitive. I want to be better than them. And, you know, somewhere along the years of my life, you know, I lost that, you know, like I'm not that person. I'm not competitive because, you know, and then when I was like feeling, you know, like in a slump, I could motivate myself a lot quicker. And now that I'm older, it doesn't seem, you know,
right. You've lived through it enough.
I don't like the motivation, you know, your confidence obviously isn't what it used to be sometimes. I'm not saying this is like all the time, but like getting that motivation to like get, you know, want to be the best at your job or, you know, maybe be more confident or, you know, motivate yourself. But I was like, you know, I found myself thinking like, man, where's that person, you know?
Right.
Like, so there, you know, I was thinking like, do you ever want to just sometimes go back to being, not go back to like your past, obviously, but just have that quality. Like, how do you get that back?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I feel the opposite. I feel like I'm a better person now than I was when I was young. But
see, that's my thing. I don't think I'm like a bad person. I don't. No, that's what I mean. Like, I think to this point in my life, I'm way better than I used to be. Obviously,
sure. But I get you. Like, if you had a quality that you felt.
Like, you know,
that tenacity that you
I used to have, you know, that oomph. Like I want to get, you know,
well, sometimes as older people,
like
we feel I'm just
like, man, I think that's what it is. Like, how do you get past that, or how do you want to get that back? That's that's the tough thing. You know,
picture in my house that actually I love, and it's such a weird picture for our like theme or whatever, our decoration style, but it fits that very well, and it reminds me of how I felt as a kid going off to college. So it's kind of like, it looks like maybe like an early 1940s scene.
Yeah,
there's a kid dressed up in a suit with like this suitcase that has like Harvard or something written on it. I don't know what school it is, but he's obviously going off to college. He's bright-eyed, ready to go. You can tell he's youthful, and he's like ready to take on the world. Next to him, they're sitting on this old truck, right? Which at the time was probably like, you know, a modern truck. Next to him is this like blue jean and blue shirt, like, you know, dad who's smoking a cigarette and just looks kind of beaten down.
Yeah.
And it's like this wonderful picture of real life.
That's how
this
it is.
Kid is like ready to go take on the world, and he thinks all this great stuff's going to happen. Here's his dad supporting him and hoping that's going to happen, but the reality being you might end up right back here, because that's how my college was. I took for granted as a kid from my life, you know, you sign up for classes every year. And that's a bad side about being in a environment where you are supported and everything just happens for you, is you have a very skewed view of how the world works.
Yeah.
You know, up through the end of college, it was just every year, every quarter, every semester, whatever it is, you just sign up for classes, you get in. It's like, it's pretty much the work's done for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it feels like work because, you know, you're worried you're not going to get into the right class or whatever, but you get in, and then at the end of it, you graduate, and the expectation is my life's going to be fantastic. I'm going to go and do all these huge things. I'm going to be like this boss. I'm going to be so cool. And then you can't get a job. Right. The world and I was a guy, I didn't love myself. I have a very hard time talking myself up a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the idea of going out in the world and selling myself was like terrifying. I sucked at that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I could do it today, but at the time, in my early 20s, I just was like, ugh, I can't do it. I was shy. I was nervous, very stupid. And then I kind of self-isolated, and that made it 10 times worse. Yeah. So it's just that picture, it just makes me think of that as like,
well, it makes, I mean, like you said, like just you describing it. I mean, that's pretty much how it is.
Right.
You know,
youth versus age. I mean, it's like, it's funny how,
like, I don't think there's anything I would change about my life. Like, I love what I have now, you know, like, because, you know, I'm at a point in my life where I never thought I'd own a house, or, you know, like, you know, I was telling her, I think it's so cool. We're finally getting our house renovated. Like, it's been something we've wanted to do for 6 years.
Right.
And so we're finally there, and it's like, it feels good,
Feels like you've accomplished something.
Yeah. I might not be doing some of the work, but it still feels great. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Some of that work is a pain in the ass. So.
Well, I mean, I think that's cool.
Right.
So mine was more of just like, with work and just with certain things, it's like, you lose. I think as you get older, sometimes you do lose that. You lose that.
You get kind of beaten
tenacity.
down, right?
Yeah,
like you get to the point where you've learned.
Like I want it, but I don't want it.
Right.
Like I'm lazy.
Yeah, and sometimes we get stuck in that rut. We're afraid to make change because
that's what I was going to get
safe
at.
Where we're at.
Change is, you're not going to push yourself if you don't change, or if you're not like trying to.
Right. Well, I think
try to make a goal for yourself or whatever.
Right.
Like actually. Be like, all right, push yourself because you want to be uncomfortable. You need to be uncomfortable if you're going to grow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so when you have to always do it, that's, I guess, when you're doing it from when you're young, because you did that when you're younger. Then, like you say, as you get older, it's like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, you just get tired. You get kind of beat down.
I got to motivate myself. Yeah.
You would get a little sour pussy
but
sometimes.
I think you got to just find what's the point? Like for me now, it's like my health. Right, like lately, I've been thinking hard about my health, and I don't.
As we get older, we have to.
I literally think about how old I am right now, and then I'm seeing people pass away or whatever, and they're not necessarily my age, but they're not very far from my age.
Maybe a decade older,
and I'm like, dude, what am I living? What am I like? What's why am I living this way? Not that I'm like, I'm not doing anything crazy, obviously.
No,
but,
I know
just eating healthier, just exercising more. Right. I'm finding my body breaking down way more than it used to.
Right. With like youth, you feel like you can get away with it. You can eat cheeseburgers every day. You can have a beer whenever you want it.
I played sports hard, and like I never stretched. Nowadays, like I can't do that because
you have to think about everything.
I've been messing my legs up or whatever, and I'm like,
I don't want to not be able to move. And you have to think more long term now.
Yeah. So I got to use that as my motivation now. It's finding that motivation.
It feels like forever you can get away with it all. And then like in a very short amount of time, you're like, wow.
For me, it literally lasts like 4 years.
Yeah, right.
4 years. And it's been like tough.
Right.
But I don't know. I had to find, I had to find that different motivation. Had something like
I hear you
stuck in my throat.
Yeah, for real.
But you know what I mean? Like you have to find that different motivation.
Yes.
And, what I was motivated for is not the same as it used to be.
Right. Absolutely. And now, like you said,
just realizing that
and realizing like, I don't feel that old. I'm mid-30s and
yeah. I don't know.
But mid-20s to mid-30s is like, it's an insane thing because it's a decade gone. And that's like the age where it hits where you realize a decade's fast and furious. Like you look back and it's like a blink of an eye.
That's how I feel about after high school. That's
pretty much. Yeah.
After high school, I was like, holy shit.
It feels like it takes forever to get to that point.
Yeah. My last 4 years of high school
flies. And it doesn't mean that every moment feels like that. I mean, when you're living it, it feels short. Like it feels not short. It feels like it's slow sometimes.
Yeah. Then you wake up and it's been 5 years.
You're like, how the hell did this much time pass? And I know for me, it's when I've been most stressed.
Yeah.
I feel like I lost a lot of the time when my kids were little because I was so stressed with things in my life that it was like just surviving it, which is hard because when you're young, a lot of life is just surviving it and getting through.
Yeah.
But, then you're older and you have a different perspective and you look back, it's like, man, I wish I would have been more. Like, I wish I wouldn't have been in my head so much. I wish I wouldn't have been. Because I'm that Blanc always tells me like I can just disappear into my own head.
Oh yeah, I'm the same way.
And it's tricky because you kind of teach yourself to do that as a coping mechanism.
Oh yeah.
I remember in school, if I ever got overwhelmed, I would just kind of disappear into my thoughts. Oh
yeah.
And you look like you're paying attention, but you're not.
Oh, dude, that's why I think I barely graduated high school and stuff because I would do the same thing. Like, like you say, you do disappear.
Right. And I learned how to cope with it well because when I was young, they told me I had ADD and I hated it because I felt like, I'm going to use a word that's like derogatory, not nice. I'm using it more because I think it's the only way to capture how I felt about myself.
Yeah.
I felt retarded.
Yeah.
I use that word purposely because it was a very denigrating view of myself that I lived with for a long time. I felt there was something wrong with me. I felt that I wasn't good enough. And I would lie to friends because I had to go take a pill in the middle of the day, and I'd tell them I had a heart condition. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, even worse.
Like a heart condition was not as bad to me as having like a brain condition where my brain didn't work right.
Yeah.
I felt stupid. And so growing up with that, like I could lose focus, but I was able to compensate. I learned really well how to pretend like I understood things, or to look like, you know, I was on top of it, and to quickly like figure out the missing pieces to get back on track to where I really hadn't missed that much, or at least I could get by that I hadn't.
Mm-hmm.
But it was all coping. It wasn't actual skill. It was just like pretending, executive functioning type stuff, you know? And it was when I started working, like real adult working, that I was like, I got to get my head straight, because I can't do this. Like I can't survive real world with what got me through academic world, you know, like
that's true.
Fake it till you make it only works so long. So yeah,
that's crazy. But that's how it is, though. You know, you fake it till you make it, until it's like, oh shit.
Well, I think if you're somebody that doesn't have a ton of confidence, which in my youth, you know, I mean, I struggle with confidence from time to time, but not at all the way I used to. Like I had no confidence at points in my youth, and I think we've talked about that too. So anybody that's heard this for like the third time, sorry, but hey.
Well, no, it happened. You know? I think, but, you know, I think I was more confident when I was younger.
Yeah.
But
it's kind of like that ignorance confidence that we have sometimes.
Yeah, well, I wasn't like a cocky person. I was never that guy. I was just confident in who I was. I was just, you know, I carried myself well, I thought.
Do you feel like that you knew that you can survive things? Like you'd been through a lot and you felt like you had confidence in the sense of like, I could get through that. Like I've been through this, I could get through that.
Yeah. I think so. I think that's where it was for me. It was just like, man, whatever.
See, I lacked that.
But like, you know, the stuff I dealt with, none of my friends in school knew anything, you know?
Right.
Like I said before, I think just last week or whatever, like I kept a lot of that shit to myself, you know? I never worried anybody with what I was dealing with, because I'm just going to deal with it. I'm going to deal with it. Right. Figure it out on your own, you know?
Well, and that's where friends can get in trouble, because sometimes you get in over your head, you know, living it back into the whole suicide thing. You brought up a point that I thought was really good with that, is to think about, if you know you have a friend who's hitting a point in life where a lot's changing fast and out of their control, probably a good time to reach out to that friend and just make sure they're okay.
Yeah.
And make sure that they know that you're there for them no matter what. You don't have to say, I'm worried that you might hurt yourself or anything just like that.
You know, just say,
hey, I know you got a lot going on. Just want you to know that I care about you, and this is tough, and I'm here for you all the way. So just, you know, ask your friend if they want to go do things, or just kind of keep them in your thoughts that way.
Yeah, I think that's
really
that's a good way.
Good points and good thinking. Like, I don't know, but
yeah, I think that's a good point. But no, I don't know. It's just, you know, there's help. Like we've, you know, talked about.
988. Didn't even know that.
I think they just did that too.
They must have, because I remember like the last time we talked about this, it was like a long 800 number, wasn't it?
It was like 1-800 suicide or
it's
something.
It's as simple as 911.
Yeah, I think it was like 1-800 suicide something like that.
Yeah. And, you know, this makes it easy. And if you Google it on your phone, just type in like suicide prevention hotline, and it will pull up right away. Little buttons you just click. It'll call, text, whatever you're comfortable with. You can just go to their website and check it out. You don't have to do anything, but I just beg you, please, if you're going to ever do anything to yourself, just take a minute before you do it and just try, because who knows, you know, maybe you won't feel the need to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
And sometimes you just have to survive minute by minute.
Yeah.
You know, like anything tough. Sometimes, like if you're running 20 miles in the military, one foot in front of the other, one step at a time, dig yourself out of that hole. And
50 feet at a time or something, whatever.
It's hard. It's hard. It is. And you can feel like you're not going to make it, but just don't give up. If you don't give up. And that's easier said than done. Like I realize that.
Yeah, for sure. It's easier said than done always.
Right.
Like, you know.
I don't mean to, you know, my fear would be to downplay the severity.
I
don't intend to do that at all. I just, you know, hopefully.
No, I think we, you know, we make sure it's known that it's important, and it's okay to, you know, it's okay to feel like, you know, you're vulnerable and whatnot. It's okay to do that.
Vulnerability in my mind is strength. It's toughness.
Oh yeah.
This idea of what masculine toughness is really a joke, because honestly, it looks pretty damn weak when you really break it down and think about it. You're not strong enough to look dumb or to look sad or to me, that's a huge weakness. It's not a tough thing. I don't want a friend that's just a crybaby all the time. I mean, there's that too. People can take it over the top where they aren't dealing with things.
Oh my God, come on, deal with it on your own.
If
there is a moment,
there's a lot of strength in coming out and saying, "Hey, look, I need help. I don't know. My brain's not good right now."
No, I used to be terrible, and I don't mean like mentally, just in general, asking for help.
I think a lot of us are. I'm not saying I'm great at it.
I'm still the same way. Like
there is sort of a bravado thing. I got this. I can do it. I
still do that to this day, and I don't do it as much. So now I ask if I need to. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with it,
right?
And that's what I started learning. I was like, okay, this isn't bad. But usually it's like I'm just I got it.
Well, a lot of things like we do have on our own. Like you, Levi, my other friend, like you guys both offered to help me with the pond. I had the pond.
Yeah.
I had to work in the middle of the night anyway.
Yeah.
It was so damn hot.
Shit.
So my pond's all up and nice and all of that.
Good.
And I did it on my own, but I could do that on my own. It's different, a different challenge.
Well, I think it's harder to do like certain things with people because it's like, you have this
kind of a one-man job.
Mind.
And I felt like I'd have to be like telling everybody like these like little minute details. It's just like, it's just easier to do. I'm not a great communicator. So.
Well, no, I think, I get it.
Yeah.
I'd be the same way. I'm like, no, I have an idea.
Right.
So
that's not
I'll start doing stuff sometimes and, the wife will say something and I'm like,
nope.
Just let me do it. Just let me do it. And it'll get done in my way. And it might not be the most effective way, but just, I got this in my head now.
Exactly. I have a really hard time when I get a mental image letting that go.
Yeah.
Blanca got a little upset with me when she saw the money I spent for the pond stuff. She's like, oh, were you going to talk to me about it? I'm like, sorry. I fixate. Like I almost should just have like a summer pond business or something because I get so excited about the idea and the details. I'm like, I infatuate myself with it. It's like you get these ideas and you start to see it coming together. And it's just like, I can't let it go until it's done.
Yeah.
Like,
you've seen it through and you did it. Cool. I think that says a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I climbed that mountain.
You did. It looks good. I think it came.
We got the koi in this morning and they're acclimating to it. We've had them in an aquarium for 6 months or more.
Yeah, it looks, like I said, it looks really good. A lot bigger.
Yeah.
It's a lot
deeper, much deeper. So, it's like probably 4 times at least the size of the original pond.
Yeah. It looks
so good. Yeah, I'm happy with it. And it's very relaxing and nice.
Hell yeah. I don't know. I think we can end it.
It's pretty short, but I don't have anything else to say.
Either.
And I'm sure sometimes you guys just want to be done with us. So.
Shut the fuck up.
Jesus. Now you're just making shit up.
I know.
Anyway.
But no, you guys have a good week.
Yeah.
And if you need help, there's 988. There's our email.
Yeah. And I'm not going to lie. We sometimes are kind of shitty at checking our stuff, but
terrible.
We need to get better at that. We do. Because someday people are going to be like hitting us up like crazy.
I've been reaching out, but you guys don't see it.
See,
we got issues we're dealing with.
We got issues too. We're not good with social media, but we're going to get better for you. So, yeah. Anyway,
have a good one.
Have a great one. Yeah. And just for anyone struggling, hang in there.
Yeah, we care. We love you.
We care. 988. If it's bad enough, 988.
Yeah,
it's that simple. 988.
Yep.
All right. Well.
All right. Later.
See you guys next time. We need to make up our own little sound for that. All right.
All right.
Bye, guys. Bye.